and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to rank all bosses in Batman Arkham Origins in an in-depth detail from worst to best. Take a good seat on your chair and enjoy the video. Let's start. In number 11th position we have the Bird. The Bird boss fight in Batman Arkham Origins is, in my opinion, the worst boss fight in the game for many reasons. The first reason is lack of challenge and engagement. Unlike other bosses in the game, Bird does not pose threats or require complex strategies to defeat. The fight is straightforward, lacking the depth and engagement found in other boss fights. The second reason is poor character development. The Bird is a relatively minor character with little backstory or development within the game's narrative. Players have limited emotional and narrative investment in this character, making the fight feel less meaningful. The third reason is repetitive combat. The mechanics of the fight are repetitive and do not introduce new or unique challenges. This can make encounter feel tedious and uninteresting compared to other boss fights that offer varied gameplay elements. The fourth reason is inconsistent difficulty. Difficulty of Bird boss fight is often seen as inconsistent with rest of the game. It can feel so easy, especially when compared to other challenging and well-designed fights like Bane or Deathstroke. The fifth reason is design and atmosphere. The setting and atmosphere of the fight lack the dramatic flair and tension that characterize other boss fights in the game. This can result in less memorable and impactful experience for the player. The sixth and final reason is expectations versus reality. Players might expect every boss fight in Batman games to be highlighted with complex mechanics and strong connections to the story. The Bird fight fails to meet both of these expectations, leading to a great disappointment. So overall, the Bird boss fight in Arkham Origins is the worst boss fight, and it falls short due to its lack of challenge, minimal character impact, repetitive gameplay, poor integration in the game's narrative and atmosphere. These factors combine to make it the least memorable and least engaging boss encounter in the game. In number 10th position we have Shiva, and in my opinion Shiva is one of the worst boss fight in the whole game for few reasons. The lack of originality is the first reason. The fight against Shiva lacks unique mechanics or challenges that set it apart from other boss fights. It feels like a rehashed version of previous encounters with other ninjas and components, making it feel repetitive and uninspired. The second reason is predictability, and it's too easy. Shiva's attack patterns are predictable and relatively easy to counter once you learn them. This predictability reduces the challenge and excitement of the fight, making it feel more like standard enemy encounter than a cinematic boss battle. The third reason is it's short and anticlimactic. The fight is relatively short and doesn't build up a satisfying conclusion. Many players feel that encounter ends abruptly, leaving them with a sense of anticlimax rather than thrill and satisfaction that should come from defeating a major adversary. The third reason is lack of character development. Shiva's character and motivations are not well developed within the game, unlike other bosses who have rich backstories and significant roles in the plot. Shiva's presence feels more like afterthought. This lack of narrative investment makes the fight feel less meaningful and engaging. The sixth reason is technical issues. Some players have reported technical issues during Shiva's boss fight, such as glitches, bugs, and disrupt of flow of combat. These technical problems can further detract from enjoying the smoothness of the encounter. And the final reason is missed potential. Shiva is a character with significant potential given her skills and backstory in broader Batman universe. The game fails to capitalize on this potential, delivering fight that doesn't live up to expectation for a character of her caliber. So, in summary, Shiva boss fight in Arkham Origins is, in my opinion, the second worst boss fight in the whole game after Bird. With lack of originality, predictability, anticlimactic nature, poor character development, minimal impact on the story, technical issues, and overall missed potential, these factors contribute to it being considered one of the least memorable and engaging boss fights in the game. In number 9 position, we have the Anarky. The Anarky boss fight in Arkham Origins is, in my opinion, really underwhelming for several reasons. The first reason is lack of challenge and complexity. Unlike other boss fights in the game, the battle against Anarky is relatively straightforward and lacks the complexity and challenge the players expect. The fight mainly involves dealing with standard attacks and few basic combat mechanics, making it feel more like regular encounter rather than significant boss battle. The second reason is uninspired mechanics. Anarky doesn't have any unique memorable combat mechanics. In many other boss fights in Arkham series, each boss has specific patterns, strategies, or gimmicks that players need to learn and counter. Anarky's fight lacks these elements, making it feel bland and repetitive. The third reason is lack of thematic depth. Anarky's character is supposed to be symbol of rebellion and anti-establishment views, but the boss fight doesn't effectively incorporate these themes. This missed opportunity is to make encounter more meaningful by integrating Anarky's philosophy and tactics in the gameplay mechanics. The fourth reason is poor pacing and build-up. The build-up to the fight with Anarky doesn't create a strong sense of anticipation or urgency. Unlike other villains in the game, who have more elaborate schemes and set pieces leading to the final confrontation, Anarky's storyline feels rushed and his boss fight lacks a proper climax. The final reason is lack of rewarding outcome. Defeating Anarky doesn't provide a satisfying sense of accomplishment. There are no significant rewards or consequences that make the fight feel worthwhile. This diminishes the overall impact of the encounter. So in summary, the Anarky boss fight in Origins is, in my opinion, really disappointing. Due to its lack of challenge, uninspired mechanics, missed opportunities, poor pacing, redundant environment, and lack of rewarding outcome. These factors combined make the fight feel really underwhelming compared to the others, more engaging boss battles in the game. In number 8 position, we have Black Mask. The Arkham Origins Black Mask boss fight is often considered one of the most disappointing boss fights in the game for several reasons. The first reason is underwhelming build-up. Throughout the game, Black Mask is portrayed as a significant antagonist, creating high expectations for his boss fight. Players anticipate a challenging and memorable encounter given his prominence in the storyline. The second reason is lack of direct combat. Unlike other bosses in Arkham series, Black Mask fight does not involve a direct physical confrontation with Black Mask himself. Instead, players end up fighting a group of generic thugs with Black Mask, occasionally shooting from afar. This diminishes the impact of the encounter, making it feel less personal and engaging. The third reason is recycled mechanics. The mechanics used in Black Mask fight are not unique. They are essentially the same as those used in regular combat encounters throughout the game. This lack of innovation makes the fight feel repetitive and unremarkable. Fourth reason is minimal challenge. The fight is not particularly difficult compared to other boss fights in the game. The enemies are easily dispatched. The Black Mask attacks are straightforward to avoid. This results in lack of tension and excitement that players expect from a major boss fight. The fifth reason is missed potential. Black Mask character has a rich backstory and potential for an intriguing and complex battle. The game failure to utilize the potential leads to disappointment. players feel that the characters' depth and threat level were not adequately represented in the fight. So in summary, Black Mask boss fight in Origins falls short due to its underwhelming execution, lack of direct engagement with the character, repetitive mechanics, minimal challenge, and missed potential. This combined makes it stand out as one of the least satisfying moments in otherwise engaging game. Number 7th position, Deadshot. The Deadshot boss fight in Origins is considered one of the most disappointing boss fights in the game for several reasons. The first reason is expectation versus reality. Deadshot is a well-known assassin in Batman universe, renowned for his precision and lethality. Fans expect a challenging and dynamic encounter that will test their skills and Batman's abilities. However, the actual fight did not live up to these expectations, leading to a great disappointment. The second reason is fight mechanics. The mechanics of the fight are relatively simple and not particularly engaging. The encounter primarily involves standard combat and stealth mechanics that players have already experienced throughout the game. There are no unique or innovative elements that set Deadshot fight apart from other encounters, making it feel repetitive and uninspired. The third reason is environment. The fight takes place in a confined, multi-level area that does not fully utilize potential and expand of strategic showdown. The environment does not offer many opportunities for creative gameplay or use of Batman's gadgets, which could have made the fight more interesting and challenging. The fourth reason is AI behavior. Deadshot's AI is not particularly challenging or intelligent. He follows a predictable pattern which makes it easy for players to anticipate his moves and counter them. This lack of challenge reduces the sense of accomplishment that typically comes from defeating a boss. Fifth reason is narrative impact. In the context of the game story, the Deadshot encounter feels somewhat inconsequential. It does not significantly advance the plot or provide any meaningful character development for either Batman or Deadshot. As a result, the fight feels like filler rather than pivotal moment in the game. And number 6 reason is comparison to the other boss fights. Arkham Origins features several great boss fights that are more memorable and well designed, such as encounters with Bane or Deathstroke. These fights offer unique challenges and mechanics that make them stand out. In comparison, the Deadshot fight feels lackluster and underwhelming. So overall, Deadshot boss fight is really underwhelming and even bad. In number 6 position, we have Copperhead. The Copperhead boss fight in Arkham Origins is, in my opinion, a really mediocre boss fight for several reasons. The first reason is unremarkable character background. Copperhead is a relatively lesser known villain compared to the other members of Batman's rogues gallery. As a result, players may not have same level of anticipation or investment in this character compared to more iconic villains like Joker, Bane, or Deathstroke. Second reason is repetitive mechanics. The fight involves Copperhead creating multiple copies of herself to confuse and overwhelm Batman. While this could be an interesting mechanic, it ends up feeling repetitive and tedious. Players must repeatedly use the same tactics and to identify and defeat the real Copperhead among the clones, which can become monotonous. The third reason is lack of innovation. The battle doesn't introduce any new or innovative gameplay mechanics. Instead, it relies heavily on mechanics already familiar to the players from previous encounters in the game. This lack of novelty makes the fight feels disappointing. Fourth reason is predictable pattern. Once players understand the pattern of the fight, identifying the real Copperhead and the real damage while avoiding the clones, the challenge significantly diminishes. This predictability reduces the tension and excitement typically associated with boss battles. Fifth reason is visual and audio presentation. While the hallucination effects used during the fight are visually interesting, they can also be disorienting and frustrating. The environment becomes harder to navigate, and the consistent shifting visuals can detract from the player's ability to strategize effectively. The audio cues used to identify the real Copperhead are not always clear, adding to the frustration. The sixth reason is comparison to other boss fight. This boss fight just isn't good as a strategy battle with Deathstroke or more dynamic challenge with Bane. Copperhead fight just feels underwhelming. And the seventh reason is narrative impact. The fight does not have a significant narrative impact within the game's story. While it serves as a hurdle for Batman to overcome, it doesn't carry the same weight or consequence as encounters with other major villains. This diminishes its importance and makes it feel like a filler content. Overall, the Copperhead boss fight is criticized for its lack of depth, repetitive mechanics, and failure to provide unique and memorable challenge. These factors combined make it stand out as a particularly disappointing moment in otherwise engaging game. In number 5th position is Firefly. The Firefly boss fight in Origins is often praised as one of the game's best for several reasons. The first reason is dynamic environment. The fight takes place on Pioneer's Bridge, which is set ablaze by Firefly. The dynamic environment with collapsing structures, intense flames, and the sense of peril adds a dramatic and urgent atmosphere to the encounter. This setting is visually striking and creates a heightened sense of danger. Second reason is unique mechanics. Unlike many other boss fights in the game, the Firefly battle incorporates a variety of unique mechanics. Batman must use his grapnel gun to navigate the burning bridge and avoid Firefly's incendiary attacks. This adds a layer of complexity and requires players to think and react quickly. Third reason is aerial combat. Firefly's ability to fly introduces aerial combat elements, making the fight different from primarily ground-based battles against other villains. Batman must use his gadgets and skills to bring Firefly down to a level where he can be engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Fourth reason is cinematic presentation. Boss fight is highly cinematic with well-timed cutscenes and dramatic moments that enhance the storytelling. The visual and audio effects combined with intense action creates a memorable and immersive experience. Fifth reason is character interaction. The dialogue and interaction between Batman and Firefly during the fight contribute to the narrative depth. Firefly's maniacal personality contrasts sharply with Batman's determined demeanor, highlighting their clash of ideals and adding emotional weight to the encounter. Sixth reason is pacing and challenge. The fight is well-paced, balancing moments of high intensity with brief pauses that allow players to strategize. The challenge level is also well-tuned, providing a tough but fair fight that tests the player's mastery of Batman's abilities and gadgets without feeling frustrating. These elements combined to create boss fight that stands out not only in Arkham Origins but also within broader Arkham series. It successfully merges gameplay, narrative presentation, delivery to deliver a thrilling and memorable experience for the players. In number 4th position we have Killer Croc. The Killer Croc boss fight in Arkham Origins is one of the best boss fights for a variety of reasons. First reason is introduction to game mechanics. The Killer Croc fight occurs early in the game, serving as a tutorial that introduces players to the basic combat mechanics and strategies of the Arkham series. This makes it memorable as it sets tone for the rest of the game. Second reason is cinematic presentation. The fight is presented in highly cinematic fashion, with dynamic camera angles and dramatic cutscenes that enhance the overall experience. The scale of Killer Croc compared to Batman adds a sense of grandeur and intensity. Third reason is character design and atmosphere. Killer Croc's design in Arkham Origins is particularly menacing and grotesque, fitting the darker and more brutal tone of the game. The atmosphere of the fight, set in gritty and claustrophobic environment, complements his characters perfectly. Fourth reason is balanced challenge. The fight strikes a good balance between challenging and fair. It requires players to utilize Batman's combat skills effectively, such as dodging, countering, and using gadgets. This ensures that players are engaged without left feeling overwhelmed. Fifth reason is engaging set pieces. The boss fight includes interactive set pieces and environmental hazards that Batman can use to his advantage. These elements add variety and keep the fight dynamic, preventing it from becoming repetitive. And the seventh reason is, or the final reason is, replayability. Due to its early placement and well-crafted design, players often enjoy revisiting the Killer Croc fight when replaying the game. It remains a standout moment that encapsulates the essence of Arkham Origins experience. So overall, Killer Croc boss fight in Origins is one of the best boss fights in the whole game, with its engaging gameplay, cinematic flair, and effective introduction to the game's mechanics, making it memorable and enjoying encounter to the players. In number 3rd position, we have Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze in Arkham Origins is widely regarded as one of the best boss fights in the game and even in the whole Arkham series. And the first reason is innovative gameplay mechanics. The fight against Freeze requires players to think strategically rather than just relying on brute force. Mr. Freeze adapts to the Batman's tactics, meaning players cannot use the same attack method twice. This forces players to utilize a variety of Batman's gadgets and skills, making the battle more dynamic and engaging. The second reason is adaptive AI. Mr. Freeze's AI is designed to adapt to the player's actions. Each time Batman uses a specific takedown method, Freeze becomes immune to that method for the remainder of the fight. This mechanic keeps battle fresh and challenging, requiring players to stay on their toes and continually change their approach. The third reason is environmental interaction. The arena for the fight is rich with environmental features that Batman can use to his advantage. There are various hiding spots, vantage points, interactive elements like explosive canisters and electrical panels. That this makes the fight not just about combat skills but also about using the environment strategically. The fourth reason is narrative and emotional weight. That this fight is not just a physical battle between Mr. Freeze and Batman, but also carries a significant narrative and emotional weight. Mr. Freeze's motivations are deeply personal, driven by his desire to save his wife, Nora. This adds a layer of complexity to their character and the fight, making players feel more investment in the outcome. Fifth reason is atmosphere and presentation. The atmosphere during Mr. Freeze's boss fight is intense and immersive. The icy environment, the music, and the voice acting all contribute to creating a tense and memorable experience. The game's visuals and sound design enhance the feeling of facing a formidable opponent in high-stakes situation. The sixth reason is challenge and satisfaction. The adaptive AI and diverse strategies required make the fight challenging, but this challenge is also what makes it satisfying. Successfully defeating Mr. Freeze feels like a genuine accomplishment as it requires skill, quick thinking, and mastery of Batman's abilities. Seventh reason is comparative quality. When compared to other boss fights in Origins and the broader Arkham series, the Mr. Freeze fight stands out for its unique mechanics and depth, while many other boss fights might rely on more straightforward combat or repetitive patterns. The Mr. Freeze encounter is remembered for its innovation and the way it pushes players to fully utilize the game's mechanics. So in summary, Mr. Freeze boss fight is one of the game's best for its strategic depth, adaptive AI, environmental interaction, emotional narrative, and immersive atmosphere. These elements combine to create standout experience that challenges and engages players in the way that few other boss fights do. In number 2 position, we have Bane. And the Bane is, in my opinion, the second best boss fight in Batman Arkham Origins for next reasons. The first reason is emotional and narrative impact. The fight against Bane is not just a physical confrontation but also significant narrative moment. It highlights the intense rivalry between Batman and Bane, showcasing Bane's intellect and physical prowess. The emotional stakes are high, making the fight more engaging for players. The second reason is dynamic gameplay. The Bane boss fight is well designed with multiple phases, each requiring different strategies. This dynamic approach keeps players on their toes, preventing the fight become monotonous. Players must adapt to Bane's changing tactics, which sets to the challenge and excitement. The third reason is atmosphere and setting. The fight takes place in atmospheric and well-designed setting, enhancing the overall experience. The environment plays a crucial role, as players must navigate and use surroundings to their advantage. The dark, gritty ambience of Arkham series is perfectly captured during this encounter. Fourth reason is balanced difficulty. The difficulty level of the Bane fight is well balanced, offering a fair but challenging experience. Players must utilize all of Batman's skills, gadgets, and combat techniques to defeat Bane. This balance makes the fight rewarding without feeling unfair or overly difficult. The fifth reason is character development. The encounter with Bane is pivotal for character development. It shows Batman's resilience and determination while also highlighting Bane's formidable nature as an adversary. This fight helps to deepen the player's understanding of both encounters. Sixth reason is variety of combat mechanics. The Bane fight incorporates a variety of combat mechanics, including direct melee combat, evasion, and use of gadgets. This variety ensures that players must employ a range of tactics, making the fight more complex and engaging. The seventh reason is stakes and consequences. The fight with Bane has significant consequences for the story, affecting Batman's journey and the overall plot. The high stakes add to the intensity and importance of the battle, making it memorable for the players. So overall, the Bane boss fight stands out due to its combination of narrative significance, dynamic gameplay, and atmospheric setting, balanced difficulty, character development, and variety of combat mechanics. These elements come together to create compelling and memorable experience that is just great boss fight overall. And the number first position, the best boss fight in Batman Arkham Origins is Deathstroke. And the first reason why he is the best boss fight in the whole game is the challenging combat mechanics. Deathstroke is a formidable opponent who utilizes a combination of tactics that push the players to adapt. His combat style includes quick strikes. He can attack quickly and with precision, requiring the player to be highly responsive. Counterattacks. Deathstroke uses a variety of counter moves that punish players for predictable actions, demanding a mix of patience and skill. Variety attacks. He switches between melee and ranged attacks, keeping players on their toes and making the fight dynamic. The second reason is innovative gameplay. The fight stands out for its innovative use of combat mechanics established in Arkham series. Different phases. The encounter is divided into phases, each with its own unique challenges. For instance, Deathstroke starts with melee attacks but later uses a ranged weapon, requiring players to adapt their strategy as the fight progresses. Disruptor mechanics. The fight incorporates gadgets such as Disruptor to create tactical opportunities. This adds layer of strategy as players must utilize their equipment effectively. Third reason is high stakes and intensity. The battle is intense and has high stakes feel. High stakes. As one of the primary antagonists in the game, Deathstroke represents a significant challenge, and fight feels like culmination of skills the players has developed up to that point. Visual and audio design. The encounter is visually striking with dramatic set pieces and effective use of sound and music to heighten the tension. The fourth reason is characterization. The fight is not just about the gameplay, but also about the character. Deathstroke persona. The boss fight reflects Deathstroke's status as a skilled and ruthless mercenary, enhancing his role as formidable adversary. Dialogue and interaction. Interaction between Batman and Deathstroke adds depth to the narrative and character's development, making the fight feel more engaging. So overall, Deathstroke boss fight in Arkham Origins is the best boss fight in the whole game, and it's actually one of the best boss fights in the whole Batman Arkham series. So overall, just a great boss fight and the best boss fight of this game, and great boss to top this list off. Okay, that was my ranking of all Arkham Origins bosses from worst to best. What did you think about this list? Comment your own list down below, and if you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. Also, I have done same type of ranking video about Arkham Asylums and Cities bosses, so go check those videos out next. Also, I will do same type of ranking video about Arkham Knight bosses soon, so stay tuned for that video. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.